John Stathopoulos and Josh Phegan come together in an incredible podcast, Grow, Scale, Master.
An energetic approach to drive progress, master skills, build strengths and put the strategy back into rapid business and personal success.
Backed by real-world experience in rapid scaling to playing the long-term game of business, it's the story of all the lessons learned on the journey to mastery.
Be inspired, renew your energy and chase the future with Grow, Scale, Master.
Con, you got to find the opportunity. And I just think a little bit about this. Like, you have got this incredible thing and it's called a business and it's about entrepreneurship and it's about making that decision to become one of the greats. And, the interesting thing is that literally I never looked at my total addressable market. I never looked at literally what I could make in terms of revenue.
Yeah.
I just thought, how do I go to serve one person? And what I'd do is I'd write down a list of like 1 to 100. And this is how my business started. And I had to write down 100 people that I knew that were in real estate that could all be a coaching client of mine at some point in time. And if I didn't write out the 100, I wasn't allowed to start the business.
Yes.
And I think that this is the biggest problem for a lot of people is that literally you got to find the opportunity of what you want to go after.
I totally agree. I think right now, Josh, I'm seeing 3 types of agents in our industry.
Yes.
Agents that can't get stock.
Yes.
Agents that can get stock but can't sell them.
Right.
And then the agents that can get stock and sell them.
Right.
So this is where we need a bit of a change in attitude, a change in approach. So when we're looking about prospecting and looking for opportunities, right now, what's probably, the biggest opportunity is you look at, I got an email the other day, Westpac, Macquarie, and I think NAB have already changed anyone that was pre-approved that had negative gearing as part of the equation.
Or investor loans.
Yeah, investor loans has already, their approval amounts have been reduced by, I think, 20 to 25%.
Well, of course they have.
Yeah, of course.
Because literally you can't pay with pre-tax money.
That's right.
Post-tax
That's
money.
right. But what I'm getting to is, where's your relationship with a broker to be able to go and help them? So if you can't find stock, let's start thinking about this strategically and saying, well, am I prospecting my broker? Am I prospecting perhaps landlords that have got property on market where days on market have blown out by 3 or 4 weeks? Maybe they need a fresh approach, from our BDM in terms of new business, or maybe they might look at, coming up to a tax event, land tax, whatever it might be at the end of this financial year.
Yes.
Maybe I need to prospect landlords. Perhaps then maybe I need to prospect my past clients and say, hey, Josh, it's coming up to the end of financial year. I'm getting a lot of calls from my clients, just like you, that want an up-to-date opinion and price. Mate, we only bought the house off you 3 years ago. No, I totally get that. So I can either give you the computer version, or come out and give you a real one, because there's 3 reasons why. They want to unlock equity.
Yes.
They want to get refinance, or they need it for tax purposes and insurance purposes.
Yeah.
There's your 3 different prospecting strategies if you can't get a listing, right?
But I just think prospect for what sells. And the age-old story here is that whatever is the average sale price for your area is probably where the majority of transactions happen.
Exactly.
So if you go 100 or 200 grand either side of that, you're probably going to do really well.
So if, for example, if you've got a $1.5 million market that's moving really well and the 3's not, stop the 3, go to the 1.5.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is that if you sell some for 1.5, maybe they go buy one for 2.5.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the one that was 3. And so this is where you got to start thinking.
Yeah.
What we used to do in regional markets were the greatest teachers, is that we would always work the market before the market. So if this particular market's not working, then work the price range before.
Yep.
Because naturally when the seller sells, they become a buyer.
Correct.
In the price range.
Exactly.
It also means that maybe you've got to go after the golden era. So anyone who bought between 2010 and 2021, and if they sold today, they're actually making money.
A lot of money.
And I think this is one of the great challenges, that if you're prospecting and you're looking, and the majority of your listings are between 2022 and 2025 purchase dates, the likelihood of them selling for more than what they paid is lower.
Yes.
Depending on your market conditions.
I agree with that.
But it's also too, say, okay, great. Well, how many of the market appraisals that you've done are actually people that want to buy up?
Yep.
And so literally this market favors buyers who want to buy up.
Yep.
It favors people that want to go and buy new homes.
Correct.
So what are new homes in your area?
Yeah.
And literally, have you changed your email description to say this is a new home that qualifies for capital gains tax and also to the negative gearing stuff. And so that's where a lot of people probably not got that right. And so when you're thinking about it, you need to know who your best buyer or sellers are in the market.
Yes.
And so I just ring you up and say, hey, Colin, let me ask you a quick question. Are you and Emily still thinking about doing something? Because I got to tell you, if you're going to step up, this is the best market that I've seen.
Yes.
In your particular price range where you're selling, it's still relatively unaffected, but the price range you want to move up into
has been impacted.
We're seeing some of the best value.
Correct.
Better known as price reductions, but we're seeing some of the best value in that price range that we've seen in quite some time. Now, if you've got some confidence in the future and you're aware about what's going to go on, then that would be the thing that I would go and do.
Particularly now where your principal place of residence, the only real CGT tax haven that you've potentially got, but you're absolutely right.
So we call that capital is returning home.
Yeah.
And when I say that capital is returning home, it's moving from buying that extra investment property
to
now buying a better principal place of residence.
That's exactly right, yeah.
And so this is an interesting thing, like literally how many, and you just want, like if you want to feel good, ring every market appraisal you've done in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
If you want to feel even better, ring every single person who bought from you during the course of your career.
100%.
And then tell me whether or not there is a transaction in any of that.
Yes.
And I think that this is the big thing that for BDMs around Australia, without a plan, their numbers were going to absolutely fall through the floor over the course of the next 90 days.
I completely agree, because obviously the investor pipeline's, not drying up, it's changed.
The brokers are saying that they expect that up to 41% of the loans in New South Wales in the first quarter of this year were to investors.
Wow.
And they would expect that will literally drop by a minimum of 50%.
Correct. So let's start thinking about that. Who's got the new stock that's being built in your market? Well, I've got an agent, Josh, that will drive through their market, their core area, and if he sees a duplex or a house being built, he will stop and go and speak to someone on site. Doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah.
They actually did this with a block of units in Mays Hill, and the person that was driving the excavator is the owner.
Oh, wow.
And he goes, yeah, mate, I'm gonna look at selling these. There's 32 apartments. So when it's completed, stay in touch with me, because this is my strategy and my plan. It's so simple, but it's not easy. The difficult part is actually putting the thought in to be able to go and execute it brilliantly, and to start thinking about our approach, right?
So I read an article in the AFR, and they said it like what qualifies as a new build. So to be eligible, it's a newly constructed apartment bought off the plan.
Yeah.
It's a duplex constructed through a knockdown rebuild replacing a single freestanding house.
Yes.
Any residential construction on previously vacant land.
Yes.
Or a newly built property that is occupied for less than 12 months before first being sold.
And a granny flat as well. Granny flats are under the new scheme too.
So then what's not eligible is an established property that has been recently extended to add additional bedrooms.
Yes.
A freestanding house constructed through a knockdown rebuild replacing an older, smaller freestanding house.
Yes.
So in other words, it's not increasing supply. A granny flat built adjacent to an established property.
Oh, really?
That is not eligible for negative gearing.
Wow.
So it depends on what's happening with
with the existing. Right, gotcha.
And then a newly built property that is occupied for more than 12 months before being sold to an investor.
Right.
So should you take those rules, wash through all of your current listings, have that on your qualification form, tick, and now that's the sort of stuff that then you can go and sell that way.
Yeah.
Great idea. And then I just think that, in this conversation, like you're either going to react and say, oh, the market's no good. And I've heard people say, I'm going to wait till next financial year. Oh, mate, 2026 is cooked. Cooked?
Yeah.
Okay, what I would say to you, I want to go to transact. And so I'm kind of going to tell you something which you might not be aware of, but over 100% of the transactions that are going to happen in your market are going to happen this year. And how many of those 100% of transactions are going to happen because you have affected those transactions to occur.
Yep.
And I think like that's the really important driver, is to get people in this position. You start saying, hey, if I got to do it, and I'm a bit different, like, because people go, oh, it's the market. And I go, hang on a second, I believe in a creator market.
Correct, me too.
And they go, what do you mean by that? I said, well, I create a market.
Yeah.
And I know this sounds funny, but like before I turned up doing my bit, there wasn't many people doing what I do. So I created a market for this product or this service line and this orientation, and then others have followed it. But I think the foundational idea is that literally you got to be that good that you can find the people who want to go and do a transaction, see the sunshine in the cloudy days.
Totally agree, mate.
Experiences that rapidly shaped you.
Can I watch The Godfather? Yeah, and it is true. It is true. I may actually have a suit called Vito Corleone.
Really?
But the interesting thing, and Tony Soprano. But the interesting conversation is that literally there's a grade in there, and there's like the consigliere.
Yes.
Yeah, and the consigliere, Tom Hagen. So they're talking to Tom, and
the Irishman,
and they said to him, "What do you need?" And he goes, "Well, I don't need a lot of customers. I just need a few customers that got a lot of problems."
Yes.
And I want you to think about how that goes to work with you, because when you think about like that, like you got all of these customers in your customer base, but you're not doing much with them because you're out there chasing new ones rather than just working with the existing people that you've already got. So how do I lean more into that and go and make that happen? And that thing that changed my view now is that literally, I've been on about the 100 customer list quite a bit. So I was up there the other day and I was working with this guy, and he said to me, "Oh, Josh, I got to tell you something." I said, "What is it?" He goes, "Oh, in February you were talking about the top 100 customer list." I'm like, yeah. He goes, "So guess what I did?" I said, "What's that?" He goes, "I wrote out my top 100 customers." I said, "Yeah, right." I said, okay. He sells a lot of off-plan stuff. I said, so what did you do? He goes, "Well, mate, I wasn't really in a great space when you saw me, but you told me about that idea. And I thought, you know what, he's right. So he goes, so I went home and I wrote out a list of my top 100 customers of all time. He goes, I then got on the phone, I rang those top 100, and out of those top 100, 12 of them have now bought an off-plan apartment with me.
Wow.
And he goes, they're about $60,000 is the average fee. He goes, I did $720,000 in revenue in the last 60 days because of that one idea.
Wow. That's phenomenal. Is it that simple, Josh?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, though. So when you think about like building out that top 100 list, like literally forget the CRM for a moment, get out a pen and a piece of paper.
And write it out.
And just write out like, okay, great, who is anyone? And you can base on a few things. So tenure.
Yes.
You know, so, for example, I've had the great opportunity to be able to work with McGrath head office for nearly 16 or 17 years, as an example.
Yeah.
The next one after that might be like spend.
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe there's someone who's done a really big transaction with you that was a one-off as a part of that conversation.
Yes.
And then after that, then it's like frequency of spend. So someone who actually constantly keeps buying all the time.
Yeah.
And so when you start to think about the cycles, like in order to have a really good business, who are your top 100 customers that have been around forever? Who are your top 100 customers that have done multiple transactions with you? Who are your top 100 customers that have done a big deal with you at some point? Now, I don't want you to don't think about top 100 like, just if you here's the list, and if you've only got one person on that, you got 99 more to go.
Yeah, exactly.
But then starting to think about what could I do, and I don't need an event, but what could I do to get on the phone, to build a relationship, to send them a message, to be more active with them about finding them opportunities or letting them know about things that are happening that might allow them to be better with us. And I just think a little bit about it that like when you go in and you have a look at the different brands or people that we might go to do work for, like that is such an important part of what we do.
Yeah.
And it's like someone said to me the other day, seems like there's a lot of real estate coaches going to Dubai and London. I'm like, man, I've been gone for like the last 18 years.
Yeah.
And so when you start to think about that, it's not a new thing for us. But the thing is that because we stayed really narrow but deep, so we chose a customer and we went deep with that customer to find our version of that particular business in that part of the world. That's really the difference that I think allows you to be able to go to scale. And I think that like for a lot of people right now, like if you think about Mecca Beauty with the Mecca Beauty Loop, you think about Qantas Lounge, you think about the Lucas Concierge, you think about Maryvale with their level 6, like the foundational idea is like these are not new ideas.
No, that's right.
But the problem is that like we're too busy over here going, we're going to go and try and do A, B, and C.
Yep.
Rather than concentrating on doing these one or two things here, which could rapidly change the course of the entire business.
Yeah,
right?
I totally agree with that. One thing that's rapidly changing my view at the moment is business planning season is upon us.
Yes.
So we're either halfway through the year or we're at the tail end of this financial year. So that readjustment of what we're up for is critically important. And yes, of course, we need to go through the data, days on market, average fee, number of listings, sales, all that type of stuff, strike rate, et cetera, market share. But I think the key thing that I've been encouraging a lot of people is, hey, how do you get back to what it is that you want to do over the next 12 months?
Yes.
So forget about the transactional nature. Think about the opportunity that's at hand and how do you want your life to look like in the next, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months?
Yes.
And start that as a foundation to be able to change behaviour.
Well, I just think that like this, someone sort of said, like if you turned it all off and you just went for a walk and you had a bit of a wander around, mate, the world is fascinating and exciting.
It's amazing.
And the energy is amazing.
Correct.
And the sunshine still feels incredible.
Correct.
But I think that we've got ourselves in this anxious wheel.
Yeah.
And what you got to do is you got to go the other way.
It's the expectation wheel, Josh.
Yeah, but it's an expectation wheel where you don't know what it takes to actually do that.
Correct.
Because you haven't climbed with that level of weight behind you.
You got it.
So you got to, we're lifting new weights.
Correct.
And you do that in CrossFit, right?
Yeah.
Where you lift a new weight. Correct. And you got to start thinking differently
Technique,
about
you got to think about attitude, you got to think about recovery, you got to think about all of it.
Yeah. And so this is a big part. The future depends on what you do in the present.
Agreed.